Okay, Mimi, this is for you. This is a Silhouette Cameo and my laptop. There's only one cord. Well, there's two. There's a power cord, so plug that power cord in, and you'll see this light up, and that just turns it on. And then, of course, you plug this into from the Silhouette to your USB in your laptop or computer, and the software's already installed on your laptop, so it should recognize that you have it set up already. When you first turn this on, it's going to say load cutting mat and load media. I'm going to open this up, and it's pretty simple. What you want to do is first, let's make sure you have the cutter loaded. This should be your fabric cutter. It's the blue one. Though the black one and the blue one I think are the same. They're just different colors. So just don't use your fabric one for cutting paper, otherwise it'll dull. Okay, so this is the cutter. And these numbers here tell you exactly how long the blade is. So 1 is the shortest blade. Actually 0 is, and 10 is a longer blade. So if you need to cut something thick, you'll use the 10 setting, and if you need to cut something thin, like thin paper, you'll use the 0 setting. What I normally do is the software will tell me what setting to set it at for what type of media. For fabric, I've found that anywhere between 3... Oh, I totally forgot. Well, I use around 5, 6, 7, 8 for fabric. All right, let me get some stuff out. My Silhouette stuff is gone. Okay, so right now I have it set at, the red dot is at 6. If you want to change it, you can change it with your plastic doohickey, which, let me go find it. Oh, here it is. Okay, this is the plastic doohickey. I don't even know what they call it. There is the faintest of faint mark that shows an arrow. It was too faint for me to see, so I actually had to color it in with a Sharpie to make it more noticeable. Make that little arrow point to whatever number it's currently at. Right now it's at 6. Slide it in, and I can now change it to 3. I'm going to keep it at 6. Okay? Going to put this blade into the machine, and this is how you do it. Take the blade, make sure that this little plastic thing is facing you, drop it in all the way down. Now this plastic should be touching. I've done this where I haven't had the blade in fully and then tried to lock it. It does lock, but it's not going to cut anything. So make sure it drops all the way down, and then turn it clockwise to lock it. Counterclockwise is unlock. I can take it out. Clockwise is to lock. Okay, so my blade is set. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, it says to load the cutting mat and load the media. All right. So this is my very messy cutting mat. This is called the cutting mat, and the media is either fabric or paper. So once you are ready to load it, that's what it's asking for, is load cutting mat and load media. And let me show you some of these buttons here. Okay, let me get closer. It's hard to create a video by myself. Usually I have Sherry helping me. Okay, so you see that it says, come on video, load media, load cutting mat and load media, and unload. Right now the dot is at load cutting mat, so that's what it wants you to do, is load the cutting mat, and then you load the cutting mat and then click enter. To unload, you can choose unload with the down arrow and click enter, but it's smart enough to know what you have in there. So if you have your cutting mat in there, and it would automatically sense it. so it would automatically tell you to unload. I'm going to put it back to where it was, load my cutting mat. I have no fabric on there right now, so I'm going to go quickly and get some fabric ready. Okay, we're going to prepare the fabric. You can use the very expensive paper that you can buy for Silhouette, but I found a cheaper option. I'm going to take my fabric. You don't have to use a fabric that is this size. This is 12 by 12, but if I'm only cutting out a small shape, this size, I would just be wasting this space. So you can pretty much choose any size of fabric. I would say the minimum would be like a square of 5 by 5 would be the minimum that I would do. I'm using heavy starch and just going to give that a good spray. Iron this first. Oh, I sprayed too much on there, but that's okay. The stiffer the fabric, the better it's going to turn out. Okay. Now, I have freezer paper. I am going to put my freezer paper shiny side down on this and just let this go. Adhere the freezer paper. Am I doing this on the wrong side or the right side? I am doing this on the right side of the paper because I'm going to end up peeling this off anyways. Unless you think the freezer paper is going to ruin. You just got to be careful. Like I have some bubbles here. I should have probably done a better job of that. But you get the picture. So now this is going to go on your Silhouette. And if you remember when we talked to the people at So Worth It, they put the fabric on the sticky side and then have the freezer paper on top. And after our testing, we found that works really well. So I'm going to not put anything here, no spray, nothing. This is a sticky pad, so it'll work just fine. And I'm going to, see how this arrow's up here? Well, I'm just gonna line it up at the very top and just press and smooth down. Okay, so paper, and then the fabric and nothing in between. The fabric will stick to it. And now we are going to go back to the Silhouette machine. Before we move on, I wanted to show you what we're doing. Scott and I are taking apart this featherweight because it's got a ton of scratches right here where they had a whole bunch of pins and they just, they didn't really take care of it. So this is what we're doing. We're taking it all apart. We'll probably repaint this. And I know you don't like repainting vintage things, but this is just so scratched. It's beyond repair. So we're going to have an adventure there. Okay, back to the machine. This is our Silhouette cutting mat. And I've got freezer paper that's ironed onto fabric. And that is on my sticky cutting mat. I'm going to put it right here. Just going to hold this with one hand. Make sure, can you see that? Make sure it says load cutting mat and there's a small dot right next to it. That's what you want to see. And you're just going to push enter. Make sure this is nice and centered and even. Enter. And that's it. Now, if it's crooked for any reason, just push enter again and it'll unload by itself, but we want that in there. So make sure it's nice and centered, hold it even, press enter,